suicidal ideation in layman terms pretty much means anyone who is thinking, considering, or planning suicide. Now, just because someone is thinking, considering, or planning suicide does not necessarily mean that they're going to commit the act of suicide. What it means is that someone is dealing with something, an issue, a problem, or a situation that they see no way out of it. And that's either going to lead them to have passive thoughts or have active thoughts. So either they're going to be having these like casual thoughts of not wanting to live anymore. I'm tired of living. I don't want to go through this. I like to use the song, Sam Cooke's song, where he goes, I'm tired of living, but I'm afraid to die. Because he doesn't know what happens after death. I'm so tired of living, but I'm afraid to die. But he doesn't know what happens after that. So he continues on to live until he doesn't anymore. And then the other part is active suicide, where you have a detailed plan. That means you know when you're going to do it. That's when you hear people say that they start to give away things, and they're acting a little different, a little peculiar. You just can't put your hand on it, but you know that there's something different about them, and they go ahead and commit the act of suicide. Now, I personally think it ought to be a third one in there, and I would call it spontaneous suicidal ideation. And the reason why I think it ought to be a third one in there is because sometimes people don't have a plan. For me, I didn't have a plan. I didn't say Monday, I'm going to give away things. Tuesday, I'm going to call so I can hear everybody's voice for one last time. And then Wednesday, I'm going to do it. No, for me, it was spontaneous. It was just in that moment. I just said, I'm checking out. I don't want to do this anymore. And there are people who are like that. There's no note left behind. They don't want to hear loved one's voice anymore. If they have loved ones, they're just done. It's a wrap. I'm out. And that's what they do. So I think it ought to be a third one added in there, spontaneous suicidal ideation. But I only know of the two, which is passive. Once again, that's just someone saying, I'm tired of living. God, take me now. It wouldn't matter if I wake up tomorrow or not. I don't care. I just know I don't want to be here anymore. You hear them speaking along like that. They don't have a plan, but they no longer want to be here. It's clear that they don't want to be here. That they talk about it. I don't care about dying. Someone say, what about your children? They'll be better off without me. But you're so successful. You're doing well. I don't care about the money. I don't care about the fame. Whatever the case may be, that they're just tired of living here, but they don't have a plan. And then you have active, where they do have a plan. They're giving away things, or maybe they're not. They just, I'm going to do it on this day. That is their plan. And then I also told you that I think a third one ought to be added, which is spontaneous, where there is no plan. You just do it. That's it. I'm tired. It's a wrap. I'm done. I'm out of here. And you just do it. So that is what suicidal ideation is. Suicidal ideation, again, is when someone is thinking, planning, or considering suicide. They have casual thoughts of suicide, of wanting to die. That's passive, or they have a detailed plan. Now, once again, just because someone has thoughts or they have a detailed plan, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to go through with it. All that means, for the most part, that they are dealing with the issue that they see no way out of. And whether or not you can understand as to why they think that suicide is the only way out, it's not for you to understand. It's for you to be there and not to be judgmental while you're trying to be there for that person. And if you feel like it is too much for you to handle, that's when you try to kind of recommend to them, seek help. I'll go with you, but I'm trying my best to help you, but I don't know how, and I don't want to see you harm yourself. So would you please consider getting help, and I'll be there for you. I'll drive you there. I'll wait for you in the waiting room, whatever it is that you need me to do. But I know I am not the one who could surrender this help to you, because I don't know how to help you from this point on. So there you have it. That is what suicidal ideation is. You have passive, you have active, and again, I think spontaneous ought to be thrown in there, um, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, so again, I want what I'm doing here, what I've been called to do is to educate people on suicidal ideation. I think about this movie that I watched on Netflix. I can't remember the name of it, but I do know that Hugh Jackman starred in it. That is the man who plays Wolverine from X-Men. And it was really good. His son was he said that movie changed his life about mental health. But his son, his teenage son, was he was depressed, and the father's trying to, how can I help you? What is it that I can do, son, to help you? And the young man was trying to tell him, I don't know what you can do. I don't know what it is that you can do. And as a result, the father was getting frustrated because they just couldn't pinpoint what is it that is bothering you. And sometimes you don't know. So sometimes a person who is struggling and suffering with mental illness and depression, they just don't know, but they know on the inside that whatever it is that they are feeling, it's not right. It is not right. They know they should not be feeling this way, but they can't explain it to someone else. And that's where you really have to be patient. And it wasn't in toward they tried to get all the help for this young man that they can. I wish I could think of the name of the movie. It's a really good movie to watch for someone who is struggling with mental illness, or if you are someone trying to help someone through their mental illness. It'd be good for you to watch because it kind of lets you know that sometimes a person don't know what it is that is triggering this sadness, this overwhelming sadness inside of them. But they know they know that it, that they're not feeling right, and it's not good, and they hate that they're feeling this way because they could see how it's bothering those around them. I've been there where you just can't explain it, but you know that something is wrong. And sometimes you have people who go through things that are so traumatic to them, whether it was child molestation, being raped, or being in a domestic violent relationship. And you have something that is called, and I said I wasn't going to use clinical jargon, but you have something that is called, I think it's uh, what is it called? I can't think of it right now. So I guess it's good because I did say I wasn't going to use clinical jargon. But what it is, they disassociate themselves from that trauma. Their brain won't allow them. And it's almost like they have amnesia, but they remember that. That's because you have some people who will say, when they've been brutally assaulted, they don't remember the assault, but they remember the fear. They remember being fear, that they're understanding. They say, I don't remember exactly what happened, but they remember being scared. They remember that fear. Children who grew up being abused, but they don't remember all the details of it, but they know that they were afraid of their parents. They remember some of the things. And then you have some that do remember all of the details. And as a result, it bothers them. They suffer PTSD, and that brings on depression. And sometimes if that depression is not treated, that depression turns into anger. They become a very angry person. And I know I transition between being depressed and being angry. Sometimes it's difficult to be around me because of all the things I've been through in my life. And you really have to be patient when you're dealing with someone who is suffering with mental illness, especially the ones who don't go and seek help, the ones who don't get it treated, or discuss these things, these traumatic things that has happened to them. And whether it's because they're embarrassed or they're ashamed or they don't want to be judged, that's why this platform is so important. The I Have Challenge is so important because we have to get people to open up. They did nothing wrong. They were wrong. They did nothing wrong, but maybe as they got older, they did start to do some wrong things as a result of what happened to them. But once they open up and get all this stuff from dwelling within them, they can become a better person because they're dealing with the issues that they have been through. So I didn't mean to go on and on and on, but now you know what suicidal ideation is, and I will be posting more informative material, so be on the lookout for it. Thank you for listening. And remember to be there for people and to help them. Help them. Even if you don't understand, try to, get them to go and get help, seek help, and let them know that suicide is not the answer. You have to live. You have to live because you are needed. No matter where you're at in your life, there is hope. There is hope.